I never thought I'd notice something so small and have it stay with me this long. But that afternoon, sitting in her living room, it did. I was 21, awkward in ways I didn't want anyone to see. She was 45, though if you only looked at her, you'd guess younger. The kind of woman who carried herself like she didn't need to prove anything. My best friend's mom. I told myself I'd come over just to grab him for a pickup game. But he wasn't home. She opened the door, and it was just her. "Come in, he won't be long," she said, stepping back, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Her voice was warm, casual. I nodded too fast, muttered something like, "Yeah, sure," and followed. Her house was quiet. Too quiet. No TV, no music, just the hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. I sat on the couch like a guest who didn't belong, hands on my knees. She disappeared into the kitchen for a moment, then came back with a glass of water. She set it in front of me. "Thanks," I said, though my throat was too tight to drink. She leaned over the coffee table to straighten a stack of magazines. That's when it happened. A soft, careless bend forward, blouse shifting, the fabric of her thin bra barely holding. I wasn't prepared for the sight. My eyes flicked away too late. Heat crawled up my neck, and I prayed she hadn't noticed. My heart thudded so loudly I swore it filled the silence. I took a long breath, trying to calm down, staring at anything else, the framed family photo, the window, the clock ticking on the wall. But nothing felt safe. She spoke, breaking the tension. "So, you're still studying? Engineering, right?" I cleared my throat. Yeah? Trying to finish. It's a lot." She gave a small laugh, sitting across from me, one leg folded under her. "It doesn't stop. Even at my age, there's always something to finish." Her eyes lingered on me, just a second too long. Noticing. Measuring. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. My silence stretched until it felt like a mistake. I wanted to fill it, to show her I wasn't just some nervous kid. But my tongue stayed heavy. She leaned back, sipping from her own glass of water. Her lips pressed the rim slowly, deliberately, and I caught myself staring again. She caught me this time. I saw the faintest smile tug at the corner of her mouth, like she knew, like she'd known all along. The air thickened. I could feel my palms sweat against my jeans. My body wanted to move, to stand, to walk, to do anything but sit under her gaze. But my body also wanted to stay. To stay exactly where I was, close enough to watch the way her hair brushed her collarbone when she tilted her head. "Do you want something to eat?" she asked suddenly. No, I'm fine," I stammered. Too fast again. Too defensive. Her eyebrow arched, not mocking, just curious. "All right." She rose from the couch and crossed the room, her steps slow, deliberate. She opened the curtains wider, light spilling in, then turned back. Her eyes met mine, and held. Longer this time. The silence was unbearable, yet I didn't want it to end. And then the doorbell rang. The doorbell broke whatever fragile thread had been weaving between us. She stepped past me, opening the door to a delivery man with a package. Her voice returned to casual, her smile polite, like nothing had happened at all. I sat there, trying to unclench my hands. My heartbeat still felt wrong, like it was trying to push out of my chest. When she came back, she set the package aside and sat again, closer this time. Not next to me, but not as far away as before. The space between us suddenly felt charged. "You look uncomfortable," she said softly, tilting her head. I forced a laugh. "Do I? You always did." Her eyes narrowed slightly, remembering. "Even when you and my son were in high school. You'd sit at the edge of the table, shoulders all tight. Like you wanted to be invisible." The words cut sharper than she meant. But there was no cruelty in her tone. More like she was telling me she'd been watching, even then. I guess I've always been like that, I admitted. Quiet. She folded her arms, nodding. Quiet isn't bad. But it can keep you from things, too. Her gaze lingered again. I shifted, searching for something to say. And you? You seem like someone who doesn't let things pass her by. That made her laugh, but not joyfully. You'd be surprised. She leaned back, eyes drifting toward the window. I married young. Thought I knew everything. Then suddenly I was raising a kid and wondering what else there was. And now. Her voice trailed off, softer. Now I'm here. There was something in that silence, regret maybe. A hint of loneliness. I wanted to ask if she was happy. If she was still married, or if her husband was just a ghost who lived in another room. But I didn't. Some things felt too dangerous to touch. Instead, I said, "You've always seemed strong. Like you knew where you stood." She turned back to me, eyes sharp, searching. Strong doesn't mean content. The words hung between us. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. I should have looked away, but I didn't. Something about the way she spoke, the way she held herself, made me want to know her more than I should. And that was the problem. She wasn't just older, she was my best friend's mom. There wasn't a world where this wasn't a mistake. Still, my eyes betrayed me, drifting toward her hand resting on the couch cushion, fingers curled lightly, as if waiting. My pulse stuttered. For a second, I thought about reaching. Just the smallest movement, my hand brushing hers. But she moved first. Not a grand gesture, just a subtle shift. Her hand slid closer, until her knuckles barely grazed mine. Neither of us spoke. Neither of us pulled away. The silence this time wasn't unbearable. It was something else entirely. Her hand brushed mine, and I felt like the whole room shifted. My chest tightened, and for a second I forgot how to breathe. Then the sound of a key turning in the front door shattered it. She jerked back, hand snapping away. I sat straighter, like a soldier caught off guard. A man's voice called from the hall, tired, low. "You home?" Her husband. I hadn't seen him much. He worked late, always looked like he'd rather be somewhere else. But hearing his voice now made my throat go dry. "In here," she answered, her tone already different. Softer, polite, distant. She stood quickly, smoothing her blouse. He walked in, a man in his late 40s, taller than me, with lines on his face that looked carved from years of frowning. He barely glanced at me. "Oh, you're here." I nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah. Waiting for your son. He said he'd be back soon." He dropped his keys on the counter, already walking toward the back room. "Don't stay too long." She didn't respond. Just watched him disappear down the hallway. The silence after his footsteps faded was heavier than before. I shifted on the couch. "I should probably know." The word came too quickly, too sharp. She caught herself, lowering her voice. "I mean, you can stay. He'll be back any minute." Her eyes met mine, and I understood. She didn't want me to leave. Not yet. But the air between us was dangerous now. Every sound from down the hall reminded me of what we were risking. She sat again, but farther this time, her body angled away. Still, her knee bounced, restless. Her hand twisted the edge of her sleeve. "You shouldn't," she whispered, then stopped. "Shouldn't what?" My voice was quiet, matching hers. Her lips parted, but no words came. She shook her head, frustrated with herself. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. "I wasn't going to say anything. I just..." She cut me off with a look, sharp and pleading at the same time. "Don't." But her eyes stayed on me. Neither of us looked away. The clock on the wall ticked louder, like it was pressing us forward. My pulse raced. I leaned closer, just enough that I could see the faint lines at the corner of her mouth, the slight tremble of her breath. For a second, just a second, I thought she would let me. That if I leaned an inch further, our lips would meet. But then her husband's voice called from the back. Did the package come? She flinched, almost guilty. Yes, she answered quickly, too loudly. I pulled back, heart hammering. Her eyes closed for a beat, then opened again, softer now. She whispered, almost to herself, This can't happen. But her hand, hidden between us on the couch, brushed mine once more, as if she couldn't help it. I couldn't sleep that night. Her voice replayed in my head, This can't happen, and yet the way her hand had lingered said something else entirely. The next day I found myself at their house again. I told myself it was for my friend, but he wasn't there. Again. She answered the door, surprised. Her hair was tied back loosely, strands falling around her face. No makeup this time, just natural, softer, almost vulnerable. You're back, she said quietly. I almost left right then, but something in her tone pulled me in. Inside, the house was the same, quiet, suffocating. She set a mug of tea in front of me without asking. Her hands trembled slightly when she placed it down. I finally said what I hadn't dared before. Does he know? Your husband? Her eyes snapped to mine. Sharp. No. And he won't. Then why? I hesitated, swallowing hard. Why let me stay? Why do this? She turned away, walking toward the window. Her shoulders stiffened. Because you look at me like I still exist. The words hit me hard. I stood, moving closer though not touching. You do exist. More than anyone I've ever met. Her laugh was short, bitter. You're just a boy. You don't know what you're saying. I'm not a boy, I said firmly. Louder than I meant. The air crackled with it. I've thought about you every day since. I cut myself off, jaw tight. She turned, eyes wide, startled by the force in my voice. For the first time, she looked unsure. Vulnerable. You shouldn't, she whispered. But I can't stop. My chest rose and fell too fast. I tried. I swear I tried. But when I'm here, I can't think of anything else. Silence stretched between us, thick and unbearable. She pressed a hand to her mouth, as if trying to stop herself from speaking. Then she stepped forward. Just one step. Her eyes were shining, not with tears, but something else, fear, desire, maybe both. Her hand lifted, hovering inches from my chest, but not touching. You're making a mistake, she breathed. Then make me stop, I whispered back. Her lips parted. She swayed closer, so close I felt the warmth of her breath on my skin. My hands clenched at my sides, every muscle in me fighting not to close the distance. The sound of a car pulling into the driveway sliced through the moment. She froze. Her hand dropped. The front door rattled. Her husband, or maybe my friend, back too soon. Her eyes locked onto mine, desperate, conflicted. She whispered one word, almost a plea. Go. I left that night with my heart still pounding, her voice echoing in my head, go. I told myself I would. I told myself I'd stay away. But the next morning, my phone buzzed. A message. From her. Don't come today. Please. The words were simple, but I read them 100 times. Something was wrong. By evening, I ignored her warning and went anyway. Her car was in the driveway. The lights inside were dim. I knocked, and when she opened the door, her face was pale, eyes red like she hadn't slept. You shouldn't be here, she whispered. Then why did you text me? She froze. Her lips parted, but no words came. That's when I noticed her husband's coat on the rack, his shoes by the door. He was home. I lowered my voice. Is he? She shook her head quickly. Not now. Just come in. I followed her into the kitchen, every nerve on edge. She poured wine into a glass, her hands shaking just enough for me to notice. Finally, she spoke. He knows something. My chest tightened. About us? There isn't an us. She snapped too fast. Then softer. But yes. He suspects. He asked me why you've been around so much. He said he heard us. She stopped, swallowing the rest. The blood drained from my face. That night? The couch. Our voices too close. What did you say? I lied, she admitted, voice breaking. I told him you come from my son. That you're just a boy who doesn't know better. Her words cut deeper than I expected. Just a boy. I'm not. My voice cracked. I steadied it. I'm not just anything. Not to you. She closed her eyes, pained. I had to say something. The silence stretched, heavy, unbearable. I stared at her, wanting to shout, wanting to demand she stop pretending. But then she looked at me, really looked, and I saw the truth she couldn't admit aloud. That was when footsteps creaked down the hall. We froze. Her husband's voice, closer now. Who are you talking to? She shot me a look, sharp, urgent. Without thinking, she grabbed my wrist and pulled me toward the back door. Her grip was tight, desperate. Outside, the night air was cold, but her hand stayed on me a second longer before she let go. Her voice was low, trembling. This is too dangerous. He'll ruin me if he finds out. What about me? I asked. My words came out harsher than I meant. What am I supposed to do? Pretend none of this matters? Her eyes shone in the porch light, and for the first time, she didn't look strong. She looked afraid. Maybe it can't matter, she whispered. But her hand lingered on my wrist again, as if her body refused the words her mouth spoke. I didn't sleep that night. Her words circled in my head, maybe it can't matter. But her touch told me the opposite. The next day, I made a decision I wasn't sure I was ready for. I went back. Not for her son. Not with excuses. Just for her. She opened the door slowly, like she already knew it would be me. Her eyes were tired, shadows beneath them, but she didn't send me away. She stepped aside, and I walked in. The house felt different, tense, heavy. Her husband's shoes weren't by the door this time. Where is he? I asked. Gone, she whispered. Work trip. A week. The silence after that was deafening. I moved closer, words burning in my throat. Then tell me the truth. Do you want this? Or am I just... She cut me off. Stop. Don't make me say it. But I couldn't stop. I need to hear it. Because I can't keep pretending I don't think about you every second. I can't keep walking out that door like none of this matters. Her face broke then, all the walls she'd held up, crumbling. You think I don't? Her voice shook raw. You think I don't lie awake wishing I were 20 years younger, wishing I hadn't? She stopped herself, pressing a hand to her mouth. I reached for her wrist, gently pulling her hand away. I don't care about the years. I don't care about what anyone else thinks. I care about you. Only you. Her breath caught, and for a moment neither of us moved. Then she whispered, If this destroys everything? Then it destroys everything. I said. But at least it's real. The air between us cracked with something inevitable. She stepped closer, so close I could feel the heat radiating off her. Her fingers brushed against mine, hesitant, trembling, before curling to hold. We stood there, hand in hand, breathing like the world outside didn't exist. Her eyes searched mine, and finally she whispered the words she'd been running from. I can't stop wanting you. My chest ached at the sound of it. I lifted my other hand, brushed a strand of hair from her face. She leaned into the touch, closing her eyes briefly, like she'd been starving for it. For one suspended moment, we were exactly what we shouldn't be, honest, exposed, unashamed. Then, a noise outside, the crunch of tires on gravel. My friend's car. We froze. She squeezed my hand once, hard, then let go. Her face shifted back into that practiced calm, but her eyes gave her away. "We can't, not here," she whispered. And just as the front door opened, she mouthed words only I saw later. That night I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her last word echoing in my head later. It wasn't a promise. Not really. But it was enough to keep me awake until the morning light crept through the blinds. For days we didn't see each other. I avoided the house, avoided her son, avoided everything. Every hour felt stretched, my chest heavy with questions. Did she mean it? Or had she only said it to buy us both time? On the fourth day, my phone buzzed. A message. From her. "Come over. Tonight." I went. No hesitation this time. When she opened the door, her eyes were tired but clear. Her husband was gone again, she told me before I could even ask. We didn't sit in the living room this time. We didn't pretend. She led me straight to the back porch, where the night was cool and the air smelled faintly of jasmine. "I can't keep living like this," she said, her arms folded tightly, as if holding herself together. "Lying. Pretending." I nodded, waiting, my throat too tight for words. She turned to me, her face lit only by the porch light. "I don't know how this ends. Maybe it ends badly. Maybe it ruins everything. But I can't keep pushing you away and then reaching for you anyway." The honesty in her voice was almost too much. I stepped closer, until I was just a breath away. "Then don't push me away." For the first time, she didn't. Her hand found mine, not hesitant, not accidental. Deliberate. Strong. The kind of touch that said she'd made her choice. And I knew right then that it didn't matter how complicated it was. Didn't matter what anyone else thought. We had been circling this for too long, hiding in silence, holding back. Now, there was no going back. She leaned into me, her forehead resting lightly against mine, her breath shaky. "You make me feel alive again," she whispered. "And you make me feel like I'm finally enough," I said. We stood there for what felt like forever, the world outside fading until it was just us. No more words, no more hiding. Just the quiet truth of two people who had finally stopped running. Maybe tomorrow would be harder. Maybe there would be consequences we hadn't thought through. But tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight, she was mine, and I was hers. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?